Hello, Leominsterites. This is your state representative, Natailie Higgins, here for the May episode of Representing Leominster. And I am thrilled to be joined with two of my favorite people in Leominster, Chalifoux, Zephir, and Brandon Robbins, to talk about their work with Ginny's Helping Hand in Food Pantry and some transitions that have been happening. So I'm hoping that you've already caught the news, but I really wanted to bring the folks at Ginny's here because they're providing incredible support for the community and have not stopped and just like increase the work that they're doing in the pandemic, in the face of the pandemic. But really wanted to bring Sue and Brandon to talk about kind of the changes and the new opportunities at Ginny's. So Susan, welcome. Can you talk a little bit about what it's been like to lead Ginny's for the last decade? And I just want to first say, like, thank you for you and Ed's commitment to keep this organization just like such an integral part of supporting not only Leominster, but communities all across North Central.
Thank you very much, Representative Higgins. You know, Ginny's it's been a journey. You know, almost 10 years. It's been a journey. We have has taken care of or tried to help, you know, thousands and thousands of people. And, you know, we have a very small team, have had a very small team, you know, those years. It's changed a little bit here and there, but we never could do it without our partners, the Worcester County Food Bank, the local Hannaford markets, Target, all the local businesses and support that we get from the United Way, the Community Foundation. So, you know, over the years, it's changed. We've seen, you know, and Brandon can talk to this too. We've just seen, you know, the numbers of people coming into Ginny's for the food pantry, they just continue to climb. Pre-pandemic, you know, we used to have, I'm sure you remember this, we had a homeless population that was put up in local motel. I mean, there were hundreds of families locally. And, you know, we used to, you know, take care of those folks going over to the motels and delivering food. And, you know, that's changed because those people have been, you know, they're housed in apartments now, hopefully. And but our population has just continued to increase. We see more and more people that come into the food pantry that have jobs. You know, over 30% of folks who come in, they're working and they just can't make ends meet. So we see elderly people, we see all kinds of different people. But in terms of, you know, we've come a long way. We've made some, you know, physical improvements to the space. We want to be very welcoming. We stress customer service. We want people to come into the food pantry and feel welcomed and supported. And we want people to have just a good experience. We've spiffed up the place so it looks really nice, I think, because we want to come in and feel good, you know, about coming into the food pantry and also about shopping in our thrift store.
Yeah, I love the model because I do think it reduces some of the stigma that a community can feel about accessing support at a food pantry, because you could be going to the thrift store, you could be making donations, you could be doing both. You could be bringing some gently used things to the thrift store and then stopping by the pantry when you need a little extra food for that month.
People do that all the time. People will come in with donations, they'll look around. And even if people don't come into the food pantry to get, you know, kind of like the normal everyday, you know, the monthly food pantry, we always have, you know, we put fruits and vegetables out front, we put fresh bread, we put, you know, goodies and pastries and things. So lots of people come in and they just, you know, look around to see what we have for vegetables and for bread, and they help themselves. So we want to make it that kind of stigma-less opportunity for people to come in and, you know, shop, get food, you know, just look around and, you know, drop off their donations.
Yeah. And Brandon, there have been some changes, and Brandon is a very familiar face to Ginny's, but also I've had the opportunity to work with Brandon in the state legislature because he was most recently legislative aide to my Twin City state rep, Mike Kushmarek in Pittsburgh and Lunenburg. But Brandon, tell me a little bit about your new role and what brought you back in the permanent way to Ginny's.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back. I kind of want to echo some of the comments you made earlier, Representative Higgins, with thanks to Sue and Ed for their commitment to this organization. You know, they have been leading this organization for the past 10 years. And if it wasn't for Sue's leadership, I'm not sure that we'd still be here today. And being such an a critical resource to our community, it's really important that our doors are still open and that we're serving thousands of people every single month. I am excited to be the next leader of this organization as we move forward. Previous to my time with Representative Kushmerek in Fitchburg, I had the honor of being the manager of Ginny's and got to learn a lot about what it meant to help people right here in our community in need. Really being an inspiration for my work moving forward. During that time, I got a master's in public administration, specifically in nonprofit management, because I loved the work. During my time at the legislature, I got to work firsthand on some of these issues that we deal with every single day. And, when Sue indicated that she, was moving to a different role and really wanted me to come back and work in this role, I couldn't have been more honored that, I was the person that she thought of to kind of lead Ginny's into the future. So I'm really excited to be back and working with Sue and our entire team and the board, to keep Ginny's thriving.
And Sue, major props to Ginny's and the board and you for thinking about succession planning in this way, because I ran a very small nonprofit, much smaller than Ginny's. But when I came in as the solo staff and solo ED, it was really hard because I didn't have this kind of intentional mentorship in this role. And I had to kind of go and find other smaller executive directors to say hey, I've got this issue and I haven't seen this before. And when I was exiting Phenom, we tried really hard to find my replacement ahead of time so that we could have some overlap to kind of pass off those reins. So,
that's really important. Yeah. No, I had been thinking about it for a while. We got a grant from the Community Foundation for 5 years ago, maybe. And we did a strategic plan. And a big part of that strategic plan was thinking long-term and figuring out a succession plan, really putting that on the table and thinking about it. So for the last couple of years, as I've been thinking about, doing other things and being in a different role, I had some thinking and framework kind of already in place. And then it was just finding, the right person, Brandon.
And I'm so excited to have your capacity kind of stretched over a number of causes, because Ginny's definitely is playing this really important role in the community, but you have so much expertise in so many spaces to really be able to kind of lean into some other spaces. I'm really excited to see what you're up to next. And this is the one more Sue Chalifoux Zephir shout out is Susan was named one of the Commonwealth heroines by the Mass Commission on the Status of Women. And next month in June, she's going to be able to come to the State House and receive her honor. And it is one of my most favorite days in the State House, the Commonwealth Heroine Awards. And it was just really the perfect time as your time kind of in the executive director role at Ginny's was wrapping up to really celebrate all of the ways, not just in Ginny's, that you give back to the community.
Thank you for that. I don't, public any kind of public recognition of it makes me uncomfortable. Honestly, it really does.
Yeah. I know.
She doesn't take public recognition well, but is probably the most deserving person.
There's a reason why we waited a few years, Sue. We wanted to find the particular right time that you couldn't say no. So we found it.
The timing is great. No, the timing is wonderful, actually, and I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get to the State House. I love the Commission on the Status of Women. I know the work that they do. I think it's very, very important. So I am very honored, and I'm going to look forward to it.
Awesome. Brandon, can you talk a little bit? Oh, go ahead, Sue.
One thing I was just going to say before I forget is that, Ginny's reach is pretty broad. I mean, we, feed, provide food for people all over the region, actually. And during COVID, a lot of other food resources, opened up, which is a wonderful thing. But I want people to know, 35% of the people who come to the food pantry are from Fitchburg. And I don't think people, a lot of people don't understand. I talked to the mayor not that long ago, and he was stunned. And I said, no, 35% of the folks who come in monthly So I just want to put that out there because, again, our range is, across North Central Mass, but the bulk of the people come from Fitchburg and Leominster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Brandon, for folks who haven't accessed support from Ginny's, like what should they expect when they're coming in? Like sometimes it's helpful to kind of meet people's expectations of what they should be looking for. What do they need to bring? Any information to be able to access the food pantry? Do they have to bring any documentation? What does that look like?
No, I think those are really great questions, and questions that we hear every day from people who are coming in for the first time. And Sue kind of touched on this before in that we are really customer service centric. Like we are trying to do everything we can to end the stigma around asking for help in general. If you need services, please don't feel shameful or uncomfortable about coming in. We really try to do everything we can to make you feel comfortable when you come in. We don't require any documentation. We'll ask you a few questions when you come in. It's, very simple questions. It doesn't go any further than the person you're talking to. So you should feel comfortable sharing that information. And if not, that's okay too. And then you're going to leave here with food. We really try to do everything we can to provide an environment that, people feel comfortable in, and come when they need to come. We talk a lot about how, we're often a service that people, use for a couple of months, fall off, come back, so we really try to do the best we can to make people feel comfortable when they come in.
And we've been trying to do some awareness around, I think folks make the assumption that SNAP benefits, that your food stamps might cover what a family needs, but it's a supplemental nutrition program. And the average is $1.40 a day per person. The max is just under $3 per person per day. Thinking about like, how can folks who are on limited income, often with like unstable housing, live off of that? This is why we've had such a need for these food pantries, because you're providing, that might only get them through the first half of the month.
Right.
And you have to be smart. Peter and I did the SNAP challenge where we lived on SNAP benefits for 10 days to show just how hard it is. And I have a lot of privileges, right? Like I have my own kitchen. I don't have to worry about paying my electricity bill. Like I can cook food. I have a job with flexible hours where I can like prep food for the week. Like I'm not juggling 2 or 3 jobs at a time. Like for so many of our folks, even just accessing those SNAP benefits, they don't go far at all.
Right. No, and I think that this is one of the amazing things that Sue did during the pandemic as well, is we were able to provide even more assistance by switching to a model where people could use the food pantry twice a month, which we've definitely seen people taking advantage of. I would say, thinking about the past couple of months, people, at least half of the clients who come in are taking advantage of that second time that they come in. And we want people to know about that. We want people to use our service. We are here. We've got the food. We want to make sure it's getting out to the people who really need it.
And I'm sure even with like just the increase of gas prices, utility prices, like everyone's budget is being really crunched, that being able to go back if you need it a second time that month must be unbelievably welcome by the folks who use your services.
Absolutely. And, you talked about it, like I have a lot of those same privileges as well. And, can feel the crunches with the gas prices and the food prices. So I can only imagine for somebody who's working multiple jobs, trying to raise their family, like it's so important that people, feel comfortable coming to us and asking us for the hand up that we're here to provide.
And so I just want to use this opportunity. We always, when we're talking about food access, talk about the SNAP gap in our community. In the budget, we took some more steps to make a common application. So right now, 50% of folks in Leominster who have Mass Health don't also take advantage of SNAP and the food stamp program. And that's a huge gap. And that's federal resources that we're kind of leaving on the table that we want to make sure our community is taking advantage of. And so we're making it easier as a state, right? Like when you get Mass Health, you'll be able to be automatically enrolled into DTA. That's our goal, to make it like not a barrier. You're collecting the same information. But one of the other things that we've been really encouraging folks, and we've seen it kind of help incentivize, is the HIP program, the Healthy Incentive Program, where you can get fresh fruits and veggies from local farmers. Because even if you qualify for the bare minimum of SNAP benefits, you get $40 as a single person a month to spend at a farmer's market. And so for a lot of our seniors, that has been really awesome. And one of the cool organizations you collaborate with, Growing Places, even will bring those farmers markets right to their door to make sure that it's super accessible. Yeah. And so I'm just so appreciative of all of the work that you're all doing to make sure that folks have what they need without any barriers. But bringing those services, obviously you've got a small staff, and I imagine you rely heavily on volunteers. I've definitely shown up for some of those holiday volunteer calls where you've needed some all hands on deck. But for someone who has some extra time and wants to get involved and wants to help out at the food pantry, kind of like, who are you looking for in a volunteer? What are the requirements, or what's the commitment that folks need to make to be able to help out at Ginny's? How do they get involved?
No, I would say that, we try to be as flexible as possible with our volunteers. We know that people's schedules are tight, that, any time that somebody is willing to give is valuable to us, whether that's an hour, one time a month, or, an hour every week, or every day. So we really try to be flexible with people's schedules. There's a wide variety of ways that we can get people involved here, whether that's in our thrift store or our food pantry. I really encourage people, if they're looking to volunteer with us, to come down and see what we do. I love showing people around the organization, showing people kind of what their tasks might be on a day that they come in, and then, getting them scheduled in for some hours. You, Representative Higgins, you kind of hit on it, but, I'll stress it again. We could not do what we do without our volunteers. April alone, we had 250 volunteer hours that made the engine run, basically. If it wasn't for those volunteers, our small staff would be even more stretched than they already are. 215 of those hours were in the food pantry. So it really is the volunteers that help us get the work done.
And I know that you also sometimes host students from the high school, right, from LCE. What has that been like, hosting these young adults, getting them kind of the volunteer bug, and like getting them kind of aware of the services you provide through the food pantry and through the thrift store?
Selfishly, as a school committee member, in addition to my role here, I love seeing it. I love seeing young people get involved. We actually have one here today who's working in our food pantry, Aaron. He has been a great asset to our organization. He's been with us since before I came back. I think Sue got him started here. And even in the month that I've been back, I have seen him grow incredibly. I think it helps with communication skills. I think it helps with, customer service skills. And then there are just the general volunteer tasks that we have them work on as well. And I really see, I think that what I've seen with Aaron specifically is the value in, getting involved in your community, seeing what the needs really are.
Yeah.
I just want to add, it's also, we're a business, basically we're a nonprofit organization, but we are a thriving business. And I think from, like Aaron's perspective, or any of the students that have come in, I think that also, they see, all of the different components, how everybody has to work together. It's very much a team effort. Everybody works together to get the job done. One other thing I want to mention, Natailie, is we just recently launched our new website. So for people who are new coming into the food pantry, there's a lot of information on the website that talks about, okay, if you're a first time, person coming to the food pantry, this is what you can expect. And also there's lots of information on there about volunteering. So if people want to check that out, they can go to our website, and shoot us an email that way. But we can't overstate the importance of volunteers coming in to help us do the work we do.
when we put this out on our social media, we will be sure to include the new website.
Thank you.
I know that has been, I know that you have been working on that for a long time, and that can be a really great way to make it accessible and like for folks to kind of scope out, like, what is it going to be like? Do I want to check this place out?
Right.
Especially for younger people.
Yep.
Like, I love to Google a place, like look at where the parking is, figure out like what it's going to be like to be able to go.
Yeah.
So we've got a few minutes left. And since I have two very civically engaged folks who have been community leaders for quite some time between the two of you, one of the things that we talk about in representing Leominster is how can you better advocate for issues that you care about? And you have really great perspectives. But for Sue, in terms of like anywhere from like volunteering to wanting to work in a space, do you have any advice for viewers who are looking at, you know, a lot of challenges our community are facing and they want to get involved? What advice do you have for them to be a better advocate for something they care about, or just have an impact in our city or their community?
You know what, Natailie, it's really very simple. Reach out to the organization, you know, do your research. If you care about food insecurity, if you care about climate change, if you care about education, you know, the Leominster Ed Foundation is a place. I mean, there are lots of volunteer opportunities, and, you know, sometimes they're hard to track down, but, you know, people out there just, you know, do a little bit of research, find out what your passion is, what you want to have an impact on, and then go after it. You know, talk to people in the field, you know, just reach out and talk about it, and then just show up, you know, show up and put whatever skills, whatever passion, whatever interest you have, you know, to work, because volunteers are just needed across the board. We hear that all the time. You know, the United Way has lots of opportunities for people. So the Spanish American Center, one of our great partners locally, we're always looking for volunteers. So I think that there are, you know, ways for people to show up, and they have to do a lot of the legwork themselves. But, you know, in the end, I think that that's really the way to get yourself into a community, to find your space.
Yeah. Brandon, any advice as someone who's kind of starting out on their career?
Yeah, I think for younger people as well, it is tough to really get involved in these various spaces. But I think Sue kind of hit on it really well. Find the issue that's important to you, or the candidate that you're really passionate about, or whatever it is that you're really passionate about, and really just insert yourself. I mean, that's how I got it started in this field. I found the candidate that I was interested in, you know, got in touch with the team and said, how do I help? And that, I think that's the best way to do it. You know, these, you know, whether it's a candidate, whether it's an issue, whether it's, you know, whatever it is, all of these, you know, different kind of groups are looking for help. And oftentimes it's just you reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'm here to help. Let me know what I can do. And they're going to take you in with open arms, because all of these organizations, issues, really need the help to get their work done.
Yeah, no, I just cannot say that enough, because I started volunteering at my local rape crisis center when they weren't hiring anyone. They had actually gone through massive staff cuts. And then 8 months later, they were hiring a teen counselor, and I threw my name in. And because I had built that relationship with my supervisor, who wouldn't have been my supervisor in this role, she put in a good word for me, because I was a young person. They weren't like totally sure that do we put this 20-something-year-old in charge of the education work. And they took a chance. And so I'm really, really thrilled every time that I see young people like not questioning, like, yeah, no, I can lead this, I can do this. And I think we need a whole lot more of that. And then these like partnerships that I just love the work that you guys do together, and the collaboration that you have to really figure out how to strengthen an organization and grow it, because it's hard. It's really hard work for small nonprofits to be able to kind of like gain ground and build a sustainable organization that is like fiscally sustainable, especially when you're doing incredible work that you really don't want to turn anyone away from.
You know, that's right. And what we've really focused on is leveraging the resources that we have. We don't want to duplicate other services that are available locally. We don't want to compete with anybody in the nonprofit space. We do what we do. We're going to be the best food pantry that we can possibly be. And we leverage the resources that we have when we work with Spanish American Center. They've got the kitchen, they've got books, they've got that stuff. So, so that's been kind of, the name of the game for us. And I just wanted to mention volunteers. I can't even count how many volunteers we've actually hired at Ginny's over the years. I think everybody who's come in and ended up in hiring as a staff person started off as a volunteer.
Yeah.
No, I think
And they're still with us.
No, that's a really good point. For young people, like, be confident, go in and be that volunteer, because that could turn. I never imagined this being my career. Let me tell you, as a young kid, thought I was going to be a teacher, and that is not where I am at all. Those volunteer opportunities can really drive your life.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, we're coming up at the end of our half hour. Thank you so much for giving us some updates about Ginny's Helping Hand and Food Pantry. We're going to make sure that the information gets on this filming so that folks know how to get in touch. If you haven't checked out Ginny's Helping Hand and Food Pantry on Mechanic Street, please check it out, because they do some really awesome work. Even if you're just if you're cleaning out your house in spring cleaning and you have some things you want to donate, some clothes, we definitely do that all the time. And there's also some really good deals to check out. And all of the purchases that come from the food pantry from the thrift store help support the food pantry. So it's just a really, really cool model. So thank you for joining me. And to all of our viewers, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.